Hi, everyone. Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are joining us from. And welcome to this live stream today with our friends and partners at Spendkey. Alex is the founder and co-founder and CEO of Spendkey, who will be walking you through the demo in a couple of minutes' time. Hi, Alex. Greetings.
Hi, James. Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in and look forward to giving you a bit of a whistle-stop tour of Spendkey today. So thank you for your time.
And if anyone can maybe see the background, this is actually the first day that I'm using my brand new podcasting studio. So I'm excited like a little schoolboy at Christmas, having a brand new mic and a soundproofed podcasting space that I've been waiting to get for a while now. So hopefully if you're interested in doing a live stream similar to what I'm doing with Alex today, you're a software company and want to reach out to see what we can do, just drop me a line after this and it would be great to talk. But in the meantime, let's just give anyone that's perhaps joining a minute or two late time to get on board. So Spendkey's based in London, Alex, right? But you've got pretty big team behind you in India as well. So just walk us through a little bit of your of your startup journey, because your background is consulting. So before we jump into the meat and bones of the demo, just give us a quick whistle stop tour of how you got into this space.
Yeah, so thank you, James, and that's correct. So my background is sort of just under 20 years in procurement. So I've moved to the dark side, as a buyer would say, right? I'm now selling. So we spent a lot of time as consultants, and I say we now, that's actually my fellow co-founder, going into large enterprises and running diagnostics, and effectively an eight-piece of work to figure out, where can we optimize third-party spend. We used a handful of market-leading spend analytics tools at the time, and for what we needed, the output wasn't really fit for purpose, and that led us. And I still remember to this day, we were in a canteen in Hammersmith to say, wow, if this is best in class, then I think there could be a gap in the market here. And here we are, 2.5, 3 years later, putting our money where our mouth is, and we've built our own spend analytics platform for you guys to all benefit from.
And we'll dig into the detail a little bit later when we walk through the demo and some of the features. And you've also got a try before you buy offer as well. And it's not many software companies do that. So you must be confident in your product to be able to offer that, because setting up any new customer or new entity coming into it, it's man hours, isn't it? And that's and that's potential revenue that you're leaving on the table, dealing with other potential prospects. So it's a brave move, but it's a very convincing argument, from a marketing perspective, to do that.
Yeah, I think, look, maybe I'm over charitable, but I think really what we're looking to do at Spendkey is be very approachable, very easy to do business with, and we're confident that our product works. So we're absolutely stand by our trials to build trust very early on in that relationship with new clients who effectively haven't used us before, might not know who Spendkey is, and are willing to actually try our product. So yeah, it's just a nice, easy way to get going with Spendkey.
Awesome. So just a bit of housekeeping for anyone that's watching this live. If you have a question or a comment, then just pop it in the comments in the stream, and we can flash it up on the screen if you've got any questions that you would like me to ask Alex during this session. We aim to be able to finish in about half an hour from now, including any Q&A. But we do have an extra few minutes contingency if it does overrun a little bit. So Alex, over to you. The floor is yours. Shall I bring up the presentation?
Yes, please. That would be great.
Fantastic. There you go.
So hi, all. Thank you very much for your time. I'm Alex. I'm CEO and co-founder of Spendkey. Forgive me, I'm actually going to leave my screen not in presentation mode today, because I'm going to be a little bit innovative and use a pen to scribe over things. So hopefully that's big enough and everyone can see, but I'm going to provide quite a clear voiceover as we go through. So We're an intelligent spend decisioning platform, and when we engage with predominantly finance and procurement leaders, we hear, recurring themes. Often they're market leaders, multi-million or multi-billion-dollar firms that have lots of resource, yet ultimately their bottom line is still being squeezed. And I think we can all resonate, with the news over the past, weeks, and previously it's a tough old time with inflation at the moment. Often they all have very hard-working teams, but when they're giving a savings target, they're just unsure how they can deliver on that. So it's maybe that they, you know, don't have a savings target and this is a new thing to them, or they have an existing savings target, but there's a bigger pressure on to deliver more. Usually very good at budgeting and forecasting. So they're, working with finance execs, you'd expect them to have all of that covered. But quite often those budgets and forecasting at very high level, and getting anything sort of beyond that high level number of what's really behind that figure at either supplier level or a line item level is often a challenge. So that's really where we talk about, and you'll hear me go about granularity as we go through. How can we make this give more context to that big number, and then finally, reporting cycles. They have systems. They're either using spreadsheets or they're using SAP or Oracle, etc. But it's not very quick. It's cumbersome and can take sometimes weeks to generate reports and not dynamic. So that becomes a challenge to be able to get something on the fly. Here at Spendkey, we're all about helping solve these pain points for our customers. So moving on, you know, today none of these pain points may resonate with you. However, what I will be sharing is a bit of, let's say, secret sauce. What can you do today without Spendkey? So this is a little bit of an educational webinar to effectively get better visibility and drive a savings pipeline. So it's our methodology that we use, and we're going to share that with you today. I'm going to try as much as possible to relate it to examples. So James, if you want to pause me as I'm going through and ask me some real life examples, put me on the spot, I welcome that challenge. And again, to the viewers, I think this is on LinkedIn, listening on LinkedIn, then fire some questions in, and I'm sure James will do his best to get them over to me, and I'll do my best to answer them as we go through. And then
Yeah,
towards the end,
absolutely. It is on LinkedIn. We're also streaming to Twitter as well, but I can't see any questions coming in from Twitter. I can see them come in from LinkedIn, but I can't from Twitter.
okay, well, perhaps I'll pause in a second and ask, or James just say, Alex, I think it's worth a quick stop. Just let me know when you think it's an appropriate time to fire some questions in. And towards the end of this, it's going to be, as James said, 30 minutes or so. We'll spend 5 minutes showing you the tool, how we really solve those problems. Change the color of my pen. So we have a framework, visibility to value, and really, if you close your eyes and try and walk around, you're going to bump into something, right? And it's no different in business. What you can't see, it's very difficult to control. It's very, very difficult then to drive efficiencies, and ultimately this means leakage. This is your customer experience, your stakeholders, that effectively you're leaving value on the table. So the real foundation here at Spendkey is, how do we solve that visibility problem for our customers and take it not just beyond visibility, but start to make actionable insights that improve control, efficiency, and ultimate customer value. So we're all about business outcomes. We're all about value, and everything that we do here at Spendkey is about how do we deliver value for our customers and ultimately your customers. And this is a framework that we keep reminding ourselves of. It's, well, so what? selling spend analytics for the last 2.5 years, I'll tell you that nobody cares about spend analytics. That's what I've learned. But so thank you for all turning up. But I know that people care about what we can do with spend analytics. Certainly, well, great. What are all these insights? Well, how do I generate 5 million off my bottom line? That's what really gets people excited. And it's very difficult to do that without this foundation layer. Shooting in the dark, you end up making inefficient decisions effectively. So although as it may be exciting for some, spend analytics, we're really focused on, well, what can we do with those insights, and how do we turn this into something of value?
And how do you avoid the dreaded biggest category of spend being unclassified, or the dreaded one that's the biggest piece of the pie that no one knows what it is?
Correct. And it's death by insights, right? What exec in the world has time to go through 1,000 insights? So really here, whether that be a category of spend that's unknown in the dark, whether it be so we're trying to really extract the value from analytics. What really matters? What is the priority? And how do I create a prioritized pipeline of work based on these 1,000 inputs? And we've got a module that's built specifically around just that. Great. So this is, I'm going to skim through this, but this is what's behind the analytics. It's the data transformation, and often gets overlooked. So it's a bit of a myth, right? Oh well, I use Click, I use Power BI, I use whatever BI suite already, so I'm fine. I've got my spend analytics covered. But if you put any data into a spend analytics tool, it's only as good as the data going in. So really important to transform your data. And the starting position for most organizations is, semi-structured data, and they've got loads of it. So it's in contracts, it's in ERP systems, AP, it's within invoices, it's within bill of materials, it's within systems, Concur, whatever, lots of different systems having lots of data. And you can add complexity to that, in terms of countries and instances and languages and all the rest of it. But data is our starting position. We want to turn that data into information. And, some companies will have lots of information already. It might be quite structured within their systems. And it might be more about, getting a single view than it is just to get the information. But the journey starts with turning data into information. And then next stage is insights. Okay, well, information's great, but I need to be knowledgeable about what I need to do. And we use visualization like most companies to do this, but the sweet spot is actionable. And there's a level of intuition within our tool to take you from insights into actionable insights. And that's really the holy grail of where we're going to start delivering value. If I was to rank spend analytics on a 1 to 10 of value, it would probably be about 1, because just looking at dashboards isn't going to deliver you any savings. But taking action and making it easy to take action will get you to a 10. And that's really what drives us, is how do we get our clients to a 10? I use this quick analogy here around data transformation. So if there's anybody on the call who is a keen chef, if you're going to start cooking a sauce, you're not going to pick a load of rotten fruit and veg, right? So the first thing you do is you make sure that what goes into your sauce is high quality produce. So that's the first step. Think of it, I've got to make sure what goes in is good. And I'm going to spend a little bit of time on how do we make sure we've got the best ingredients, how do we slice and dice and clean and prep our vegetables, and then it's the extraction, it's the cooking process. How do I get the how do I get all those flavors? And I don't want hundreds and thousands of vegetables now. I just want a nice sweet flavor, that's going to do the job. So simplifying data and analytics with how to cook a sauce finds you by extracting the flavor is what it's all about.
So using that analogy, Alex, sorry to jump in, but using that analogy that you made with a sauce, normally when you go out and buy a sauce from the supermarket, the ingredients on the packet are very clear and you know that what's gone into that sauce. If we're looking at procurement data, especially indirect procurement data and non-materialized, non-stock items, they're often purchased on free text POs. So we maybe touch a little bit on how you get to grips with that data and are able to categorize and put that into taxonomy.
Yeah, so it's 3 slides away, but I'll answer it now because there's no
Okay,
time like
sorry.
the present, right? So what you'll see here is the customer's data. I mean, I'll make it a little bit bigger actually. This is where my skills of using a
Yeah, there we
iPad
go. Great.
embarrass me, but it works just about. So customers' data. So patchy, free text, 25 different languages, 15 different instances. It's a mess. We don't have a client that doesn't have messy data. And even the ones that think they don't have messy data, there's always a few percent in there when we run it through our algorithms and AI, etc. So starting position can be a little bit unstructured and a little bit inconsistent and incomplete. The secret here is to use secondary data. And this is why I think spend analytics has changed in the last 5 years or so, is there's now so much secondary information. So much second. We cross-reference your data. So this is the customer's data, your data, with secondary data. And in that process, we're enabled to gain more information around what a particular product, service, or part number is. I'll give you an example. If you were to type MX250 into Google now, MX250, to you and I, James, that might mean absolutely nothing. But once we've cross-referenced it, we'll find out that actually it's a piece of hardware, and it's used for security. It's part of the wide area network, and there are 3 or 4 data points that I didn't know before that weren't in the customer's data set that I've got from the good old web through APIs into various different sources, Google, LinkedIn, etc., web scraping, and then putting that, and obviously large language models plays a big part now in what we're doing going forward. So that enables us to enrich and classify your data down to a level of granularity beyond where the customer is at today. So, James, does that answer your question? It was.
It does, yeah, because every analytics program or software, no matter how good the engineering is that's gone into building the product, is always going to be challenged by the fundamental problem that if a customer or client's data is crap, for want of a better word, then it's difficult to get it to make any sense. And even with the best, to the nth level taxonomy that you can put in there, if the description is unintelligible, then it's the same challenge every time, isn't it?
Yeah, and we use the word contextualize a lot at Spendkey. So it's really about adding depth, context, granularity to an existing data set to take you from data and information to something that is usable and meaningful. So very quickly then, I won't go into too much detail, but I think it's worth, what we aren't at Spendkey is a black box. So we share accuracy scores, we talk about how machine learning works, we talk about all of the steps that we take on your data, and we share all that with our clients. There's no, oh, I don't know what's happened. It's all auditable, it's all in the tool, you can see it. And I'm going to talk just quickly around what we do in terms of getting everything into one place is important. So, the three main things, let's say, or fields, supplier, transaction value, and date. As long as we've got that, we can make a start. So if you're sat there thinking my data's terrible, this will never work, you're most likely going to have all of this. And I say most likely, you might sometimes the supply may be missing, and we'll have to find a way to get that as well. So you don't need much to get started and to get value. But first of all, stage one, get everything into one place. And that might be, again, we've got clients with 20 different currencies, and we've got clients with 40 different languages in Hebrew and Korean and all sorts of different languages. But get it into a single state. Clean things up, typos, grouping suppliers, and you can just quickly see here, this looks a little bit messy because it is. That's the clean version. They're all the same supplier, different entities. So normalizing, we see supplier clients who, in extreme example, 50% of their their supplier volumes will decrease because they're just the same supplier with a different entity. And classics are, your global suppliers of Amazon and EY and all that sort of stuff. And then obviously understanding those parent-child relationships. Average is about 15%, by the way, in case you're wondering.
For duplicates.
For normalization, yeah, duplicates, yeah, give or take. So I talked actually, James, about the cross-referencing, and really in this slide has a bit of a before and after, and there are lots of metrics around before and after, but finance will often have a high level. So this example, I think we'll use, this is IT budget, it's 300 million, give or take. They're usually pretty good at having that accurate at a global or regional level. Then what you tend to find is they'll think of 5 categories, and they have hardware, software, and it's somebody in finance, a finance business partner, who's categorizing this spend. They've got no idea really what this spend is in reality, and they operate their entire business on 5 really highly inaccurate categories of spend. Afterwards, at Spendkey, it's about getting down to supplier and individual line item detail. So in this instance, I think I talked about hardware. Is that hardware used for maintenance? Is it within the end user environment? Is it application? So this particular path here, lots of different paths. We have thousands of different nodes and thousands of different combinations, and what that means is you can slice and dice. So that question, I'm an executive, I would like to know for each of my business units, what are they spending on a particular piece of on CRM systems? In Spendkey, you can do that instantaneously. Questions that are very hard to answer if you've got this high level finance budgeting information.
You're getting some love, Alex, for your artistic skills. From,
I do apologize.
Mr.
Copeland. Right, so I've talked around some of the steps that we use in Spendkey, and that secret sauce of before we push all of our data into a visualization layer. The challenge doing this, I've spent 20 years doing this manually, so it can be done manually, and you can go away and you can do this manually, but it's just, let's face it, it's the drudgery work. And I've been in boardrooms with execs, and we sit there with a list of suppliers, and you get to past the top 20, and they're like, oh yeah, that supplier does this, that supplier does that. You get outside the top 20 and nobody's got a clue, what supplier X, Y, Z, and you get down to 1,000 and well, so and so knows about that, and so's not here, and the contract's gone missing, and all that sort of good stuff. So doing it manually, very difficult, very time consuming, and also requires a lot of subject matter expertise to get down to a level of meaningful granularity and context. And the good news is we have automated all of that here at Spendkey. So a little bit about Spendkey, specifically deep learning, AI, fine-tuned for spend categorization. And here at the bottom, what can we do? Well, we can generate customizable and granular insights in as little as 10 days. And I'll talk to you a little bit around that onboarding cycle. But most customers don't believe us when we say this. So, I challenge you to challenge us, and we pride ourselves on having a data pipeline and an algorithm that can very quickly and efficiently train on your data. So it's very bespoke to each client, and we make sure that each client's data is, 99.5% accurate by the time it gets passed over. And that's where we're at. Sorry, I'm just checking my battery. It's 10%. I think that should be enough. Apologies.
Squeaky
Okay,
bum
so
time.
yeah, there's a few minutes left. Okay, so that's what we do here at Spendkey. Again, it's all about value and how can we take those insights to effectively, and what we're very focused on here is savings pipelines. How do I take these actionable insights and generate something tangible? Complexity, this is a client of ours, lots of different languages, lots of different systems, lots of different currencies, you name it, we can take it on. This was one 5-minute conversation after we'd done the first pass of their data, and they spotted a $500,000 rebate opportunity. So that was a pretty quick ROI within a few minutes. So very, very, almost too good to be true. The ROI that you can get from seeing your spend data in detail for the first time, and you can say jaw dropping and all the rest of it, but it's alarming but not unusual. And the reason it's not unusual is, I would say, only 1% of the companies in business are actually doing any level of sophisticated spend analytics, and the other 99% aren't. So if you're sat here thinking, oh, this is all alien to me, you're not on your own. And even some of the world's largest procurement functions in the world don't use spend analytics. It's still very new, despite it being around for 20 odd years and longer, and people have been doing it in spreadsheets and all the rest of it. But taking it to the next level is still very much a new thing. So don't feel like this is, oh, I'm being left behind. It's all very new. This new way of looking at things in the whole scheme of things. It's a very quick setup, as I mentioned. Often, there's a bit of a, oh no, this is going to be a huge. There's three sort of problems for me. You've got data and access to data. So integration. I'm going to stop drawing now, because I know nobody can understand it. So getting that data and integration used to be a very painful, long process, and it's very quick now. So the 10 days is once we have that data. Often we say to clients, well, a flat file CSV is good enough for us to get going, and that can usually be extracted within 24 hours. So tomorrow we could have your data, and within 10 days from then we'll be able to be sharing these insights with you. Over a period of time, often we have a REST API. So those of you who are technical, you can push data to us, and we make this a real-time experience. But very quick to get going. We sit outside of your technology stack. We're probably in the same environment as your ERP, so from a security perspective, and obviously we do business with FS companies, etc. So very stringent measures in place to make sure that your data's secure. And given we're, the audience on the call today, I think I won't spend too much time in the use cases of spend analytics, but I've got a supplier, they're in the lift, oh dear. I've got a negotiation with them tomorrow. I've got no idea what I've spent with them in the last, last quarter. Going to Spendkey, have all that information on your fingertips. I need to model my cash flows. What am I expecting to pay out next quarter? Tail spend, you'll hear a lot of audit readiness, etc. So lots of different use cases. Shadow spend is a big one, particularly with new customers. So we have a software company that we run some analytics for. Their temporary labour spend was around 5 million. That's what they thought. Their HR director came into the meeting and we demonstrated that their temporary labour spend was 25 million. So that's another example, and that isn't unusual. And you might say, what? Wow, how can it be so wildly inaccurate? Well, if the data is, hasn't been through this process, it's likely that you're operating with inaccurate information in a nutshell. And that's an extreme example, but I've got hundreds of extreme examples where CFOs are unaware of 7 million, this was euros, spend with a particular supplier that was on their blacklist. That's a CFO of a reputable company who I will remain confidential, that was unaware around a £7 million spend. So this is not uncommon. This is not uncommon, and this then presents many opportunities for savings and compliance and risk. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, James, is I'm going to try and transition to a new screen and dip into the tool, if I may. So just bear with me. You might want to ask me a question while I try and work out which screen to share.
There's nothing that's come in so far, but if you do have a question that you want to ask Alex, then pop it into the comments and I'll flash it up on the screen. In the meantime, Alex, I'm impressed that you managed to quote the great philosopher Sir Tom Jones in your presentation by saying it's not unusual.
There we go. So, James, can you see the Spendkey demo instance? Lovely. And is it clear, or is it just the Spendkey demo instance you can see, or can you see lots of screen as well?
No. It's just Spendkey. That looks, it's pretty much full screen. Yeah.
So I'm just going to refresh data for a second. So this, is an experience that it's our demo instance. It's very similar to a production environment. The first thing that I recommend our clients to do when in their environment is to refresh data. And this is it's about a 10-15 second process that happens once at the start of each sort of instance in the machine, and then once you're in, it's usually just a second or two to navigate around. So worth noting, this is very much like the real thing, and you can see now it's loaded up. So I'll answer that question around, well, just how much am I spending in a particular category, and can I get details of that category? And we have 5 to 6 different levels. We scrape contracts, we ingest invoice data, we ingest AP data, we ingest T&E concur data, and in fact got a really good use case with a PR client at the moment around T&E. 20% of their travel and expense with airlines and hotels is not being pushed through a preferred channel. So you can imagine, and they spend 60 million on T&E. You can imagine the value that they're losing out by just effectively, people putting stuff on their card and not using their preferred methodologies.
Everyone wants to get their credit card points, don't they?
Exactly, everyone wants their Amex points. But you can see here what I'm doing is I'm saying, right, I want to find out the spend for software in my company. Within a few seconds, I've got that information in front of me, and I can drill down and start to look at how many suppliers in what country and so on and so forth. So if I wanted to ask that by country, again, lots of different dashboards on the left. So what are my business units spending? How can I compare one business unit to the rest? Where are they located? All of this within a few clicks. So you're not going into a big ERP system and losing the will to live. You're simply clicking once or twice to find out that information. So what we do here is have several out-of-the-box dashboards that we generate for our clients, and then we customize depending upon the different nuances. And that's all part of the 10-day onboarding process, where we will say, oh, would you like to see this in a different color, or would you like to see a different filter, and so on and so forth. So James, I didn't want to go in and make this a lengthy demo session, but this is just a bit of a flavour of what we do at Spendkey. But I encourage everyone, of course, who wants to get any more details, please drop me an email. I'm sure James will share contact details after this event.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. Just a couple of notes before I jump into Q&A. There was one thing specifically I wanted to ask you. If anyone has joined this late and owned it, or maybe had to drop off halfway through, we will upload the video to my YouTube channel. Just search James Meads on YouTube, and we'll upload it there. And we'll also send it to anyone that clicked on attend. If you're not a first level connection of mine, I can't actually message you that. But if you are, then I'll make sure that we DM you the link to the video, so that you can watch the whole thing if you'd like to watch it after the fact. Alex, thank you. The one question I wanted to ask you was around classification, and what level of data classification accuracy can you get to first time round? And the reason I ask this is that you often see spend analytics companies, and I'm not going to name any one specifically. I think it's generally a problem within the industry that they claim to get to X% via AI and machine learning, whereas the reality is oftentimes they've got a bunch of people in the back office frantically classifying data manually. How much of this can you automate first time round, and how much fine tuning does it require?
Yeah, so version 2 of Spendkey, we were actually going to make our algorithms available to customers. So you won't necessarily have to ask that question, that they'll be able to train themselves. So, we stand by our ability to efficiently train, and that means out of, 1 million transactions, our data analysts won't need to train on 1 million. It can be as little as 15% of those transactions, and then to efficiently do that. So, we will train on January, then February, then March, and it'll be less and less and less. Once we've done a year's worth of data, the amount of manual training that we do for the client, so this is just a, again, we're not black box, it's about 1% per month. So that's what we're doing manually here at Spendkey. And if that's real time, it's often done overnight. So if that's, through an API, we'll do that overnight and in a refresh. So you'll get the 99% of it done real time, and the other 1% will be done by our team overnight. So pretty seamless experience for the customer, and very much leveraging our ability to train and classify and automate.
Perfect. Thanks, Alex. The other thing that I wanted to ask was about when we touched on at the start of this, the try before you buy, the free trial. Are you happy to sort of share the general sort of conditions around that if anyone's interested to test drive it?
Yeah, sure. Anybody who would like to book a discovery call with us today from this webinar, it's a webinar special. So usually we charge £9,700 for a trial. On webinars, we give it away for free. So those that reference this webinar will get a 10 grand's worth of value for absolutely nothing. So there you go. We limit the number of transactions. So if you're a 50 billion revenue company with 200 million transactions, we won't be doing all that for free, but we will say, look, give us a month's worth of data from one instance, or give us your worst category, and we'll limit it to 10,000 or so transactions. We just have a bit of a talk around, well, what are your proof of value criteria? So out of this proof of value. What pain points do you want to prove? Usually the client will say, these are my 4 pain points. In the T&E example, it was what proportion of spend is outside of the approved channels, and it was 20%. That was done in a proof of value. It was charged for. Today we're giving it away for free as a James Meads webinar special.
Or a certain plant or country is always a good example as well, isn't it? If you've got a particular area of your business or business unit that's problematic, that you could run that through. Yeah. Final question from my side, Alex. In terms of size of business that this is tailored for, especially now, I was talking. We're also a partner of CostBits, which is a spend analytics platform that caters more towards sort of SMEs and the lower end of the market. What's your sort of sweet spot in terms of size of businesses that this is an appropriate solution for?
Yeah, so we tend to say, if you've got revenues in the region of 50 to 100 million, then absolutely you're going to have an acute pain point and a lack of visibility. There's not a hard and fast rule. We have ran analytics for smaller companies, but that tends to be where there's an element of value that we can deliver. We want to make sure that we deliver value for all of our customers. So a bit of scale does help, and that's a rough rule of thumb.
Would you also cater to an enterprise client as well if they're a DAX 40, FTSE 100 business as well?
Absolutely, we're running a process with a $10 billion company at the moment. So size
Wow,
and
okay.
even government organisations is no problem because of the level of automation we have.
Awesome. So last chance to anyone that's watching this. If you've got a question for Alex or any comments or thoughts that you'd like to leave, please, keyboards at the ready now, because we're just about to sign off. It looks like there's nothing coming, Alex, other than the couple of comments towards your the dark side being best providers being former practitioners. So yeah, or John's batting for us as well as someone that's worked with a lot of these before.
Super.
Okay,
well.
Yeah, thank you to all of you that have taken your time out to watch this, and yeah, if you would like to get a more detailed demo, just pop us a link in the comment, drop us a comment in the comment section, or just reach out to myself or Alex, and I can put you in touch with the Spendkey team, or Alex can coordinate that for you directly. So hope this was useful. We'll be doing another live demo after, probably towards end of August, early September. We'll do our next one, bearing in mind that a lot of people now are going into summer holiday season, and it's difficult to reach people to watch software demos when they're on the beach. So have a great summer, and we will catch you again with the next one in September. Take care. Bye for now.